Everyone, I'm Jas, that's Shar, and we are Black Girls Gab. And today we are going to recap The Bachelor season 25 with Matt James, episode 7, right? Is that what we're on? Week 7? Hot Mess 7?
Week 7.
Dropping like flies 7?
I can't
That's what
believe
it felt like.
Literally dropping like flies 7. We started the episode, I'm pretty sure, with 10, well, 11, including Heather. And we clearly ended the episode with 4. So that was just, to me, I couldn't believe it. They kept saying hometowns were coming, but I didn't really understand until like halfway through the episode. We're like, oh, they mean next week that it's coming, like literally next week. I thought we had another week in between, so I was like, wow. So we'll see how people are dropping. So so we started off with Heather. You know, we got to see a little bit more of what was going on with Heather, and it was kind of funny. It seemed like the only girls who knew who she was your girl Serena. P. Yes, and Abigail also knew who she was. She was like, "Oh, she's from Colton's season. She's Hannah's friend, whatever." Everybody else was like, "Who is that?" They're like, "We don't know her."
Yeah.
So she walks in, and they didn't show Matt doing the laugh again from last week, but still, I'm not over that he laughed like that. It was just so like chaotic to me. I feel like he was just at this point fried and was like, "Why is this girl here?" And apparently, from what I heard Nick Vial say this, that he heard from his producer friends that like this isn't really fake. Like basically, she begged the producers to come. The producer said no. I think they said, well, if you buy your own plane ticket, you can come. So she bought a plane ticket and rented her little minivan and came. So here she is. I mean, none of us really liked it. And it was kind of nuts. And the girls kind of went back to their bullying ways a little bit once she came back from talking to Matt, which I mean, for me, was a little bit discouraging because I thought we left the Mean Girls, 2 episodes ago.
Nope, it just showed that he didn't get rid of all of them because we already knew how Piper was. We already knew how Kit was. We already knew that Serena C was always one. And so they just showed out again. And Chelsea, like, she was a little shady a little bit in the beginning, but then she decided to mind her business. But it showed Piper's age. And I know last week you said, like, I'm unsure about Piper and how she reacted when she was like, who the F is this girl? But I think you could tell that although he might have been physically attracted to her, they weren't on the same page, probably maturity level. And it showed that because she did her little apology tour, like, oh yeah, I was acting 2 weeks ago when folks were getting dropped. And then she was so quick to turn up again. So honestly, it is what it is.
Yes, I do love her. Like I said, I hope she finds somebody great on Parrot. Who knows? Right. But I was like, yeah, it's something, the dynamic is just kind of off. And the girls who we see kind of excelling are the ones who are very quiet. That's Bree, that's Michelle, that's Rachel, and Serena P is like probably the most vocal, but still kind of quiet. So we'll get to her, whatever. Yeah. But I was not feeling like, of course, nobody was happy that Heather was there. I was not happy that she was there. And of course, at this point, week 7, you're fried. So it sucks. But it's like, okay, she's here. And, this is not how you talk to somebody. At one point, somebody said, oh, just go cry in your interview. Like, who says that? I was like,
was it Piper?
My God, these girls.
Or Kit. Kit said something crazy, actually. What did she say? Like,
Yes, I think she actually called her the B word.
Yeah.
It was a lot. So I told her to go cry in her interview. She started crying in front of them. None of them cared. I was just like, wow, this is not great. And even the girls who were quiet, I mean, they were quiet, but they didn't say anything. So I'm not saying I'm proud of any of these girls, but it was like, y'all are, a lot. So that was interesting. But of course, Heather had to go. We knew she wasn't going to stay there.
Right.
It's a little bit too far into the process, but honestly, I think even if she would have came like week 2, I still think he would have sent her. He didn't seem that interested to me.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so at all. So she leaves. We get to the rose ceremony, and I didn't know how many people were going home, but then one of them said that it was only going to be 8 of them left. I'm like, okay, so we'll see. And I was hoping that Chelsea wasn't going to go, but she left. Sad.
I know. It was only a matter of time, but I really thought he was going to get rid of Jasenia first. thought it was going to be Serena C and Jasenia. Jasenia ended up staying a lot longer than I thought. Let's just say there. Like, say that. Like, she really, I don't even know how she made it to the top 6. I don't know.
I don't think she was in our top 10, our original one.
She didn't make it past top 12 for us, and somehow she got it to top 6. So, I mean, surprised.
I mean, who knows? Like, maybe he kind of knew he was going to send her home one-on-one. I don't know, but I was shocked. I agree. She was the person I was definitely shocked that she made it as far as she did. But regardless, we got rid of Serena C, who she will not be missed for me. And then Queen Chelsea, you know, I hope that she's doing great. And she looked so good even walking out. She, like, walked out.
Yes, sashaying. Yep.
She is just amazing. I love her.
Yeah.
So then we get to the next day, and you know, Abigail is in her interview, you know, crying basically that she hasn't had a one-on-one. And at this point, I'm starting to feel bad for the girl. It's like, I don't exactly know how you couldn't, you know, like, she gets a first impression rose. Again, I know that Matt doesn't really understand what things mean or whatever, but he should have taken at least a crash course. You give her the first impression rose. We're now down to the last week of one-on-ones before hometowns, and Serena P ends up getting it. And I'm just
like, it didn't make any sense. It first of all, Jasenia shouldn't have been there. And she shouldn't even got a one-on-one, right?
No.
It should, if anything, it should have been Abigail, I think. And if he had so many concerns about Serena P, he obviously didn't even listen to himself and his concerns through that one-on-one. Because it was just red flags that he decided to keep her. He still decided to keep her. So that one-on-one didn't even do anything for him at that point. But he should have still, I think he should at least had a one-on-one with Abigail. Honestly, probably when he had the one-on-one with Michelle. If the Michelle didn't come in at that point, it should have been Abigail. So that way he was able to kind of figure out if there was something there. Because like he said, I was just so confident that I decided to explore other relationships that I realized, these other relationships are getting somewhere. Like, no shit, Matt. You didn't put anything into that relationship. That's how that works. Oh, come on. It went back to him not knowing anything about The Bachelor, and that's what messed him up.
Yes, I was very mad at that, but we'll get to that. It was very upsetting. I was
not ahead.
No, it's okay. I just was, I was very upset at that as well. This was a very like up and down episode for me. I was
all
like
over the place.
Laughing, I was mad, I was everywhere. So she gets the one-on-one date, and everyone looks confused, including Serena P. She's like, I don't know, but okay, going, whatever. So we find out it's one of these yoga dates, which we see this often. Blake did it with Tayshia last season. And as soon as I saw this is what they were doing, I was like, okay, maybe this is kind of a thing for her to go home, because like this is how Tayshia and Blake, this is how she sent him home, all these people. So I'm like, you know, maybe it's that. But you know, they start doing the poses or whatever. And firstly, she looks like a yoga professional. I'm like,
yeah, she was all twisted up, looking like a Cirque du Soleil. What? He was like, oh.
Yeah, so that was funny. But then we see in her not really feeling, you know, the experience. She's not really liking it so much. So I was like, okay, she's definitely out. I figured, like, she's definitely going home, whatever. So once they finish with it, and she instantly tells Matt, like, hey, I wasn't really feeling that, which I thought was great. You know, like, you're not feeling it, just tell him. And he seemed very receptive and happy that she was open and honest with him. I feel like that's what sealed the deal. I feel like if they just would have went along with it and it was a fine day, I feel like he would have sent her home. But it was like, oh, she can be honest with me, so I'm going to keep her here. I just feel like that was the only reason he kept her there, because she's like honest. I mean, I'm not really, for some reason, I'm not really seeing it. I think she's great. I just don't see them, you know? What do you think?
No, I agree. And I want to say last week, we actually did talk about this date with somebody else. And I don't know if it was Sabrina P., but we were like, somebody, X, needs the date where they're doing yoga or touching so that they can see if there is a connection. I don't know. Who are we talking about? Do you remember?
I think we were just mentioning that Matt doesn't really give off a sexual vibe, so it'd be really good to see.
So we need to see him.
Type of.
Right. So, I mean, and you know, maybe this was a really good date for her, because he started off this conversation saying, I get friend vibes from her. So I'm like, if you already feel like you get friend vibes, why are you keeping her here? And then she goes and tells you she does. she's not affectionate. She doesn't like that. Knowing that that is your love language, knowing that that's how you connect with all these girls. We see how he connects with Brie. We see how he connects with Rachel and Michelle. It's very physical. But the fact that he already is coming off saying, I'm getting a friend vibe from Serena. And then she's like, yeah, I didn't really like that. I'm not really affectionate like that. And you're like, well, you know what? I'm still going to keep you. Thank you for telling me the truth. Doesn't make any sense to me. It shows his inexperience. It shows that he obviously didn't like anybody else at that point or even saw somebody to even be in that fourth spot. Because at the end of the day, he could have been like, let me put Piper there. At least Piper will touch me. At least she'll make out with me. Serena P, she don't want to do nothing. But the reason why he kept her is because he saw that she could do a Circus Soleil flip and touch her toes to her head. He's like, you know what? Let's just try this out. I need to get somebody at least through to the next week. She's going to be gone by next week, which was our thought process initially. That's how we know how she said, yeah, my parents don't really believe in this. Well, we already know that. I'm sure he already knows that too. He's probably like, this is a filler. Let me just keep her here.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Yeah. I just feel like Matt is so like, and again, I really love him. So I don't want to come off bad, but it just seems like it's very much, if you just swapped out some days, his process for things would be so different. Like if Serena P got her same date, the time that Jasenia got her date, she would have went home. Like, I feel like it was just the first rose of the week. So he's like, oh, I still have 3 more to give out. So who cares? I'll just give this one out. It's like, wait, no, stop and think first. There's other people here that you might be connected to more. Again, I don't, like we said, we're pretty sure him and Piper aren't really that matched up. So I think he really is down to the reason he doesn't really care. But it's like, clearly based on this date, y'all aren't really supposed to be together. So it's just, whatever. It was fine. But it was a little sus. And she did mention to him last time that they talked that she was falling in love, but I didn't hear her say it again. So maybe she's retracting her statement. I don't know, but I didn't hear her say it again.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. And he didn't say anything last week. He didn't say anything about it this week. So, I mean, but then Piper said it and he she obviously went home. So I don't know. She's really just like a filler per candidate right now.
I agree. I agree. Yes. Okay. So then we moved on to group date. So we get the card and everybody's name is on it except for Jasenia, which I cannot believe this man made his last one-on-one with this girl.
With the new girl. Yep.
So now you see Abigail is hot. She's like, okay,
I would have been too.
What am I supposed to do at this point? This person gave me all this validation at the beginning. We had this little ear thing, whatever. And now we're getting to hometowns and you didn't pick me. So now you can see like she's seeing red at this point. So I already was starting to feel bad because I was like, maybe she'll get it this week. And she didn't get it.
No.
It was so sad. It was so sad. It was very sad. But then they're kind of cramming things in because if you notice, they didn't do the daytime portion of the date. They didn't show us what they did.
No, and I was confused. I'm like, they're just getting.
Yes, they're really moving along.
Do you think they had a date?
Yeah.
I think. Why are they doing that? The editing this season is trash. Like it is so confusing. Why are they doing that? It's annoying. I was just thinking, oh, you know what? Maybe Matt just, decided they just needed time and he's going to spend the rest of the day, the whole night giving each one of them time.
No. I honestly think because they always make it the same. I think it's 10 weeks every time. So like the amount of episodes we get each time is the same. I think that they spent, we've talked about this last week, but they gave Sarah a whole episode. They dedicate a whole episode to Sarah and the drama. They dedicate a whole other episode to Anna, Victoria, Escort, Gate. That was a whole thing. So now, remember, we missed the date portion of the date before as well. That was the one that Tayshia and JoJo were on that we never got to see them.
Yep.
So we missed that. And also I think that day portion of that date that we missed with Tayshia and JoJo, I think that was a race car date or something because I think that's when I saw him making out with Chelsea in the preview. Because I think I remember him in that outfit.
Yeah, we missed that. Yes.
I think they did like a race car thing with Tayshia and JoJo. We never saw it. And that was where I thought that Chelsea was getting a one-on-one because I saw her making out. But regardless, they're just missing things. And it's all because of the drama. It's not because it's less episodes, the same amount of episodes. I think it's just we dedicated so much on Heather. It's just ridiculous.
And you know what is even wilder is that we follow the data. And we see that although this is the most, diverse cast, they are still showing on TV more white contestants
Yes.
than they are the people of color on the show. It doesn't matter how many people of color on the show if you're only highlighting the relationship between Matt and white women.
Yep.
If you're only giving preference on screen to white women,
yep.
What does having a diverse cast mean? So
You
then
know,
it's going to be interesting next week.
They want us to be happy with the fact that we got 5 seconds of Chelsea talking about her hair. That's what they want us to be happy about. Oh, she got to talk about how she cut off her hair for literally 30 seconds, so we should be happy. It's basically like, let me feed y'all breadcrumbs, which is kind of how the whole thing. Yeah, let's just feed y'all this and y'all should be happy. That's kind of like the rhetoric I've heard about Rachel Lindsay this past week. It's been like, oh, don't bite the hand that feeds you, which is like, is this a joke? Like, she should be grateful and bowing down to Chris Harrison for life because she was the first Black Bachelorette. No,
right.
She's looking for change. We got a huge change with having 25 out of the 32 or 37 women be people of color. But as you said, and we're seeing from graphs that now the only person we really know is Rachel, and she was the last white. There was Rachel and Kit. Everybody else for the last 10 were people of color. And Kit we actually knew a lot about as well. And Rachel we got so much of. So it's like, what's really the point? Is this just a quota thing? It sounds like it to me.
That's what it is. I mean, but that's how things are, not just in the entertainment industry, but across industries. It's kind of like, just we're going to shut you up by putting people in the room. But it's like, okay, well, then after we put people in the room, what are we going to do? How are you going to make sure that people actually feel like they can thrive in this environment and that they are accepted in this environment? And I mean, it's just ridiculous. And even when you look at the numbers, the numbers of, or the percentage of people, of the white women who have been shown on the show, they are also have a huge increase of followers on Instagram. And we know that Instagram is how you become an influencer, and that's how you end up making money afterwards, if that was your goal. And even if that wasn't your goal, that's just like a side hustle for you. And it just shows that all these women who are being shown more, even if they're great, right? Katie's great, are getting huge influx of followers. And the other women of color are not. And I also want to bring this up. I'm sorry, I always bring stuff up a little earlier, but I wonder how they are going to tie in, if anyone's going to discuss how in the previews, it looks like most of those women who are women of color are biracial or multiracial, right? So, I mean, Michelle, her mother is white. We see it next week. We already know that Bree's mother is Iranian or somewhere from the Middle East or Southeast Asia. I forgot where it was. Serena, I have no clue, but based off of what we can see, it's going to be very interesting, because you see this person and you're like, yeah, that's a person of color. And I wonder what audiences are going to say or think when they realize, oh, yeah, we're all rooting for Michelle. Michelle actually, has a similar background as Matt. And it's going to be a whole bunch of, for what I can see, a lot of white people, white parents there. So I'm curious as to how that's also going to play out next week and what people are going to think about that.
Listen, I already feel a lot about it. I feel like we got, like, when I saw the cast, it was so exciting, because not only were these Black girls, these were dynamic Black girls with jobs, with lives, all these things going on, with great stories. I mean, look at Maggie, for example, who we don't know one thing about that girl, who's probably the most dynamic person from that show, from this season. And I don't know anything about her. And it's just, it's crazy. The pharmacist. And we know that from the bio. She never talked about that on the show. She never talked on the show. All we saw her do was ask Matt to dance. Like, it's just, it's not like you picked these boring, you didn't pick these boring regular women. You picked really dynamic people, but for some reason we're not figuring any of that out. So all of this is annoying to me. I'm over it. For me, Chris Harrison can go out with the trash. I don't really care. I see people saying that they're not going to watch the show if Chris Harrison's not on it. I don't. Chris Harrison does not make that show. I don't know why it's so hard.
He does not make the show. He does not make that show.
He does not make the show. So he can go. I literally don't care. He can go based on what's going on. This was like a, let me throw you a bone, and hey, for the next 5 years, don't ask for no Black lead. That's basically what this was. They gave us 2 back-to-back. They're like, don't ask for it again. Which is, I'm interested to see who they're going to pick for Bachelor. You know, we still have a Bachelorette pick to come up. I don't know who they're going to pick.
Yeah, and if we're gonna go by Bachelor and Bachelorette standards, then it's typically the top 5 people. What are they gonna do? Pick 21-year-old kid? I mean,
they would never pick.
What are they gonna do? And now Abigail, I mean, now finding out that she is half Korean, cool, great. She also has another layer of diversity, being that she has some type of different type of ability. So is she going to be the person? I don't know. They really didn't give her much screen time. It looks like they're setting up for Katie.
Yeah, I will say the only bit of the only tiny bit I'm holding on to for Abigail, and we'll get to her exit, but her exit was very much how bachelorettes talk. When they nobody's out there for, it was very Ben Higgins. It was very much, oh, nobody will love me. We'll see if somebody, it was kind of a setup, but we'll see. But yes, they're gonna have to pick from further out because like we said, according to us, we think Rachel's the winner. So that means we have 3 runners up who are all POCs. None of them are getting picked. Piper was number 5. She's not getting picked. Jasenia, no, these people aren't getting picked. It's
and Katie. They're setting up for that. They are setting up for that by not showing them or giving us their story. People don't understand. That's how production works. They literally are doing it this season so that in our minds, as we are viewing it, we're like, hey, we really like Katie. Yeah. Well, we have no one else to like but Katie because Katie's the story that we know most about.
Exactly.
If we knew more about Abigail's story, I'm sure we love Abigail. If we knew more about Michelle's story, I'm sure we love Michelle. But they are having us focus on one person because they want to choose, or 1 or 2 people, right? Because they want us to choose that, and they want that to be the fan favorite. But the fan favorite is created by the producers, depending on how they, depict somebody. And that's just how it is. It's unfortunate, and it's annoying, and I'm hoping that more people are going to stand up to say, no, this is not really making sense, because in the past, you've picked someone from the top 3. And we already know the top 3 are going to be Bree and Michelle, outside of Rachel being picked. Yeah. Are you going to pick one of them? Are you going to pick Bree because she lost her job? Because she decided to run for Matt, not tell Matt she was going to stay, and then she lost her whole job, and then cries because he didn't give her the rose afterwards, and he gives it to Rachel, who just stared at him all lovingly? No, you're not going to give it to Bree. But that's who you need to be giving it to. Give it to Bree. She's down the whole salary. Give it to Bree.
Honestly, if it were up to me, Michelle would get it hands down. Especially, I don't know if you saw the last clip.
So cute, her doing push-ups, acting like she was him.
Would carry the show. She knows how to carry a show. I didn't realize that her personality was like that. I said, okay, this girl could carry a season easily. This is no problem. This will be no problem for her at all. She did an actual job. It's just, but they're not set for that. And we do know from the past that normally even the person that wins, they don't really set us up to like them. They set us up to like the person who doesn't win and ends up being the Bachelorette. That's JoJo, that's Rachel, that's all these people. They kind of set you up to only like one person. So I guess that person would be Katie now. And I feel like the main reason for that was that I'm telling you, the main reason is we're not putting 3 black leads back to back to back. Not happening.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have to focus on the Sarah situation that hard. They didn't have to focus on Katie being the spokesperson that hard. They didn't have to focus on that. If that was Mary Lynn, or if that was Jasenia, they would have given her like a, hey Matt, there's some issues happening in the house. That's it. That's all it would have shown. It wouldn't have been a big thing. But
I saw a lot of people saying that they were focusing on the Sarah thing so much because Sarah's coming back. Sarah's not coming back. So, and the producers clearly knew. We didn't know at the time, but the producers knew that she wasn't coming back. So it's like, if she did come back, let's just say at 7 or whatever, at least I would understand why they carried this out for a 2-hour portion of their 10-week show. But you knew she wasn't coming back. You decided to dedicate this 2 hours to this white woman anyway, when we could have learned about Maggie, we could have learned about Kayla, for God's sakes, Lauren, Kristen, all these women. Nothing. It's just
nothing.
It's ridiculous to me. And who knows, hopefully all these women are very, very highlighted on Paradise, because Peter's women were horrible. Sorry, they were bad. And I hope that they don't get any shine. I hope that these girls get the shine. Of course, these girls have done some things I don't like, but these are dynamic women who have stories, and I think that people will like it. So that's all I really have to say about that. Chris Harrison, you're
a mess.
A bum.
A mess.
I'm over it. a mess.
Well, let's talk about
That's
Abigail.
it. Okay. So back.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yes.
with Abigail. So I was worried that he was gonna let her go home before, like with Serena C and Chelsea, like one of them. I was like, this is really weird. Like they're kind of setting it up for him to have her go home, and I wasn't sure if he was going to send her home or if she was going to obviously do what she did, which was tell him, oh wait, is that what happened? No, I thought she was going to send herself home, but he sent her home after she decided to confess her love.
Yeah. Well, not exactly. She said to him, "Hey, I really like you. I'm feeling very confused about this reassurance I got from the top. Now I'm getting nothing. Can you explain to me what your feelings are?" That's basically what she gave him, which is like an ultimatum of like, "Hey, either you like me and I'm going to hometowns, or you can send me home today." That's basically how it came off to me. So it was kind of like she didn't exactly send herself home, but it was like, "Why aren't you reassuring me?" And then he gave, like you said, and again, it's not like it's on a real answer. The answer was real, but it's like it was a little bit jarring to me. He's like, "Oh well, since we were so solid, I decided to focus on the other 10, and then I forgot about it." It was like, Matt, like,
it's the
truth.
truth.
The thing is, we know that's true. We watched it happen, so it's obviously true. But it's like, damn. So that was sad. So yeah, so she kind of self-eliminated. She sent her home. Whatever. What else happened on this date? Oh, Michelle. I wrote down in quotes that Michelle said that I'm 100% committed to you.
She did say that. I thought it was sweet. Too bad he's not going to pick you, Michelle, because he has this unspoken love with Rachel, even though none of us can see it. None of us know. No, we can all see it. We don't know anything about Rachel. Why don't they ever, like, she's the one person who we need to know about. She's the one person out of all the white girls that we need to learn more about. Forget Sarah, forget Queen Victoria, forget the girl who looks like the mom from Parent Trap. We needed to know about Rachel. Now, the only thing that we know about Rachel is her racist history, if that's even true, right? That's the only thing we know about Rachel. She wasn't even able to create her own narrative on the show because they didn't want to show it. Oh. So this whole scene, it's just all messed up. I'm just getting more and more angry over the editing.
Literally the only thing I can remember Rachel saying about herself is that she never paid more than $40 for a pair of shoes when she pulled out those Louboutins. She's like, "Oh, I've never had shoes more than $40."
And she's never been in love.
I remember her ever saying, like, "Oh yeah, she's never been in love." Okay, fine,
but she knows. Like, but she knows she's.
You're right. We could that. How? That I'm just still not over that Sarah episode. Because that Sarah episode took up so much time from us figuring out what's going on. And again, I'm not even saying that I don't want to hear from Rachel. I want to hear from her because he likes her the most. Yes. But I would like to hear from these top three a lot. And we talked about this when we had the Michelle date. I said, we both said, I can't wait till we have the Rachel date because we wanted to see it. It's just, I don't know what we're seeing. We're not seeing too much. So
nothing.
That was kind of that. So, he sends Abigail home and then Bree, as you already mentioned, goes into her story about I literally was like, what's happening? So a couple days prior, she had to resign from her dream job, which is already nuts. And who knows if she could or couldn't have talked to Matt, but I mentioned this in earlier episodes. I'm like, Bree seems like she could be here, there, anywhere. So the fact that I said that, I was clearly wrong. The girl kept her butt there because she clearly feels committed enough to quit her dream job. And when she tells Matt, he's like, "Oh, I really appreciate you telling me that. Like, I appreciate being here, whatever." And then, and again, I'm not saying that she has to get a rose because she quit her job. I'm not saying that. But it's like, this isn't the final rose. This isn't like your ending person. You're not going to give her this girl just quit her dream job. He gives the rose to Rachel. So he gives the rose to Rachel. The girls are pissed. And then he says, "Oh, we have a special thing to do." So I'm like, okay, where are they going? So then they go to see this performance by
Aloe
something. Yes. And I was so happy to see somebody Black, other than Chris and Brie, who we love from, or I don't know if you watched Listen to Your Heart, actually.
No, I did, and they broke up,
so we saw. They did? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay. So we did see them. Maybe we saw them on Tayshia's season. I don't remember when we saw them.
I think it was Tayshia. But I don't think it was this one.
So this is like the first Black person we've had. I can't even tell you last time we've had a Black.
Since Boys to Men for Andy's season.
Yes.
I've been waiting.
But then we get the black guy, and he has to perform for Rachel. It was just annoying to me. I was like, dang, like this could have been a perfect Brie moment. We haven't seen a real Brie moment since literally the second week when she got her one-on-one.
Yeah.
So it's so nice. And I'm not, whatever. It was just annoying. Like we finally got a black singer, and then it's for the white girls. So, okay. So
well, I think overall, I was just upset. I think that I feel like Brie, if it was coming down to that situation, if that were me, I would have knocked on his door like Kit, and would have been like, I need to have a real conversation with you because I like you, and I'm willing to stay here if you think this is something that can progress. Essentially what Sarah did, right? And he almost begged Sarah. Really, it felt like he was begging her. So Brie, do the same thing. See if he's going to beg. If he don't beg, you take your butt back to work.
Well, I agree with you if she would have done it before she resigned. If she had like one day to do it, if she didn't do that. She didn't do it. So since you told him after, you might as well now just stick it out. You already lost your job. Don't matter.
Yeah, but I'm saying she should have had a conversation beforehand. She must have been real. She must have really thought that was her man. And I mean, I don't know.
I told you this from jump. A lot of these women are.
But we didn't think Brie was one of those women. We didn't think Brie was one of those women. So it just threw me off.
My girl is falling. I can't believe it. I'm like, ooh, because she seems to like have like a real guard up, but this girl quit her dream job, girl, for this man. So anyway, so Rachel gets the extra time, and I love how like Aloe Black was doing this. I love the song. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, that was nice.
And the song is like really sappy, and then they're cutting back to the girls all crying. It just felt really like harsh and mean. And Kit was just like pouting, and it was bad. So then Kit knocks on his door.
Are we not going to talk about Kit's conversation?
Yeah, we are. I'm just finishing
before she even knocks on her door. Because didn't she have a conversation before with Matt? Because she essentially wanted reassurance, which is what I think Brie should have done. The same type of reassurance that Abigail was trying to get, which is what Brie should have done instead of going in blindly, which is essentially like, hey, I have these goals for myself. Or like, what are your expectations? Because I'm 21.
Yeah,
I just passed puberty. So are we going to what do you want to do? Because I'm not having kids for another 5 years, which for her.
I know, which is so funny, by the way. When she said that, I'm like, girl, you'll be 26 by then, but it was really funny. But I actually loved that. I forgot that she did that, but I loved that conversation. Yeah. Kit's really grown on me over the weeks.
She goes back and forth. I mean, she just called the girl a B. She called Heather.
I know.
24 hours earlier. So
I know, you're right. I won't forget that. But something about this conversation, I'm like, yes, you better tell him that you need a cheerleader and you're doing this, and whatever. And he was just like, oh, I'm happy you're here. I just really want you around. So she seemed like, I think if she would have got the rose on that group date, her butt would have stayed right there.
Yeah.
But again, that Rachel getting that rose pissed everybody off. That pissed everyone off. And Kit, I think especially, because she was like, okay, like, so this ain't gonna work. So then she shows up to his little apartment and she explains to him that, this is probably not going to work. I have these tell her like, oh, I really want you to stay. And she's like, no, that's okay. I'm going to go. And that was kind of it. I thought it was graceful and good.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It was her time.
I thought it was cute. Yeah, it was her time. We'll see her again, I'm sure. But I thought it was graceful, and she knew, she knew she wasn't gonna make it. At this point now, there's only 2 people left to get roses because Serena already got one. So I was like, yeah, she knew the deal. So now we go back to the house, and Jasenia is getting her one-on-one. So I will say, Jasenia is cute as a button. My God, she is adorable. I want to pinch her. She's just so freaking cute. Mm-hmm. So. And they also had a really cool date, that drifting thing. That was pretty cool.
But that's not what I would have given for her. I would have given her something where to see their connection, right? Like that yoga thing. I mean, I guess it would have been good for Serena too if he felt like he was getting friend zoned. But I also feel like there was a friend zone for Jasenia. So, but whatever.
Totally agree. But yes, you're right. This probably wasn't the best date for them. This probably would be a good date for like Michelle or something. This is not a real great date for Jasenia, So they go drifting and, you know, they do the little thing. And I wrote here, when she told him to lift her up and put her on the car,
I know.
I cringe so hard because I feel like she is somebody who like wants to live out a princess fantasy. She wants to be a Disney princess. She wants the prince who lifts her up and does this and that, which I totally get, but you can't just like make these magic moments. And I remember her doing it back when they like one conversation I remember them having when she was like, oh, like he's like, oh, how can I make you feel better? She's like, oh, you can kiss me. Where it's just like, it's cringy. It's like these are not, you're making these moments happen. He's not even organically doing it. You're forcing him to pick you up and put you here. And it's like, this is not, this isn't magical. This is just, because in the preview they showed it and I'm like, oh, that looked hot. Like it looked really nice in the preview, but now realizing that she asked him to do it and this and that, I'm like,
right. It didn't.
it just wasn't reading. It wasn't reading well. And I'm sure on TV she saw it and was like, ugh. Like it's just not, it's never a good thing. If you're asking a guy to lift you up, probably just isn't. You know. So they get to the nighttime portion. The place looked amazing, I thought, when they flipped the lights.
Yeah. Very
like,
romantic.
Oh, yeah, very romantic. I'm like, this is terrible because he's about to break up with you, but it looked amazing. You know what it reminded me of? It looked how Brendan and Tasha's date looked when Brendan left. It was like outside and it wasn't all white lights, black lights, and everything was lit up. It looked amazing. And then they broke up. So that was sad. But she seemed to handle it, you know, okay. She did tell him, she dropped the I'm falling in love with you bomb. Which is like, girl.
Yeah, I think they're just like the last. It's like a Hail Mary.
It's a Hail Mary. So that was, you know, not, she was out of here. So anything else happened? I don't remember.
No, but we thought it was gonna. Oh, with the episode or just with Yesenia?
No, just with Yesenia.
We all knew it was coming.
Yeah, we all knew it was coming. So now we're down to the rose ceremony. And we only have 2 roses to give out between 3 girls now. I was a little scared. I will admit. I was like, because Brie got the first one, I was a little bit nervous that
I got a little nervous too. But then I'm like, there's no way. She showed herself. At least I was able to see it, right? I'm sure he could feel it, you know? So
and Piper looked absolutely amazing. She looked like it was her final night. She looked like
gorgeous.
Amazing.
The dress, the gold, the hair slicked back, gorgeous.
It was fabulous. But their goodbye.
You was not happy. She is spicy. We knew she was too much. She was not. She was like, pat, Rachel, you pat. And then he tried to give her a hug. She just grabbed his hand like this, like a little, and then closed the door. There was nothing, no conversation. She was like, that's it, done. Why was I vulnerable? Why? This is why I'm not vulnerable. She was mad. I don't blame her, but she was mad.
He was pissed. And the only words he got to get out when they were walking out was him saying, I'm sorry. She didn't answer him. She didn't say nothing. She literally got in that car, didn't even look back, and closed that door. I was like, I don't know if I've seen an exit like that. I can't tell you last time I saw an exit like that.
I feel like that's how you would have responded.
Probably. Honestly, yeah.
That would have been you. And then you would have saved the tears for later. You might have like, you know, your eyes probably would have got a little watery, but you would have been like not engaging in nothing and then would have cried your eyes out in the car.
Yeah, that's actually true. But it was funny to see somebody like not engage in it. Because normally by the time we're now at 5, so normally they would like sit on a bench and talk about like what happened, you know, nothing. Just
she wasn't having it.
She wasn't having it. She wasn't feeling it. I was like, okay. So, and that was the end of the episode. So
I felt it though. I felt like this season has been a hot mess.
Yes.
And I'm sure the girls are probably dealing with some other stuff on top of it. Even though there are mostly women of color there, I feel like they're probably able to see the crap. And they probably, as even watching the show, they're probably like, ugh, you know? Yeah. So I'm sure she was over it. I'm sure she was like, you know what? I already see where this is headed. And I'm just not here for it. And I'm not going to even give him the satisfaction of having a conversation. It is what it is. So I don't blame her. I kind of liked it.
I mean, it's just funny because we watched it for so long. So to see somebody do something that's like non-Bachelor, it's like, whoa, like, you're breaking breaking rules, but it feels like you're breaking rules. It's like, oh my God, like you're not even gonna talk, you're not gonna do anything. I said, okay, so maybe they'll talk on Women Tell All or whatever. We'll see, but
probably. I'm sure Chris Harrison probably asked about her exit. I'm sure.
So, because that exit was good. And honestly, to be honest, at the Women Tell All, I don't really care to hear him talk to a lot of people, but I do want to hear him talk to Piper.
Yeah.
And
that's it. That's it. That's all I care about. Well, supposedly there's like this theory about something happening early in the season with Kayla. On the date that they didn't necessarily show, that there's this thing that Kayla was supposed to be on the date. She was on the date card. She never actually went to the date, and then she got eliminated. So I wonder if they're probably not going to talk about that either. But yeah, really all I care about is Abigail and Piper. I don't care. I don't want to hear anything about Sarah. I don't want to hear anything about what's that girl's name? The one from Parent Trap.
MJ.
That's not MJ.
Oh, who?
The one with like the smile, like the. What is her name? Anna.
Oh, Anna.
Anna and Victoria. Almost called her Queen. I don't care about them, but they're gonna show them. They're gonna show Katie. It is what it is.
I will honestly be skipping through most of this Women Tell All because I know half of it's gonna be Victoria, Anna, Katie, and then and then Sarah will probably get a fourth of it, and then the other fourth will be left to the POCs. That's literally how it's going to be. 15 minutes for 25 of these POCs, 15 minutes for Sarah, and then 30 minutes for Victoria, Anna, and like MJ. That'll be it.
Yeah.
This is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Maybe Kit. They might highlight Kit's exit as well.
I wouldn't mind that. Actually.
I like Kit.
Yeah.
Well, I like her, but still, I mean, that takes up time from a woman of color who, so it's bittersweet.
I think the only person because I don't know, I think they do Women Tell All at 3. So Serena P should be off. So we'll get to see her, I guess. But like the final 3, they won't be there. I'm pretty sure. Or maybe they do a final 2. I don't even remember.
I think they do a final 2. And it was interesting because Chris Harrison said to Rachel Lindsay, that Rachel, or whatever last name, Kay, was not in the Women Tell All. I don't know why he would say that. To be able to.
I just feel like at this point, everybody knows, again, if she does not win, it's a 99% chance she's going to win, but she does not win, she's final 2. Everybody knows she's final 2. Like, come on. We all know. And also, like, when Matt had when they were dancing, Matt had his face, like, nuzzled in her neck. I was like, oh, God, he really likes this girl. Like, damn.
Damn. She
seems
like we will never know. And she seems like a nice girl. If anything, the most exciting storyline I'm looking forward to hearing about her is that if she was picked, how her and Matt are going through this time in her relationship or in their relationship where she is an accused racist. That is interesting.
Yes, but that's why Women Tell All is not going to be that great. After the Final Rose is going to be fire. This is probably going to be one of the best after the Final Roses that we ever get because number 1, Chris Harrison ain't going to be there, and number 2, we'll have somebody who I know is going to press them. So I was hoping that it was going to be Rachel Lindsay, but I think that Rachel told somebody that when her contracts are up, she's disengaging from this franchise. So I don't think that she would do it, but I would love to see her do the After the Final Rose and just like
they wouldn't even let her do it. I don't think they would even let her do it, even though she literally is the most qualified right now because she does like 3 different shows. She's the most qualified, but they wouldn't let her do it because I don't think they would trust what will come out of her mouth.
To be honest, from what I've heard, the high up at Bachelor, like the highest person, apparently he's like a very liberal, he's very different than Chris Harrison from what I hear. And he was not really feeling what Chris Harrison was doing. So maybe he would allow her to do, because Chris Harrison don't seem like he got much to say about who's going to be doing anything right now. I think he'll be right. I think he'll be back within this year. I'm sure we'll see him again. I mean, but I would love to see her just do that. Even if she doesn't want to host a whole show, I would love to see her, do that. It's just, it has to be addressed. And it has to be addressed by the right people. I don't want to hear Ben Higgins asking this white girl, who apparently I heard Ben Higgins' little fiance was up at one of them Old South parties too. They had a picture of her at one of these little parties too. So, it's a little sus. I was like,
At the
and
end
she's
of
not
the
from
day,
the Bachelor world, but she's like from.
yeah, but at the end
It's
of the
sus.
day, I mean, it's sus, but this is a whole nother conversation we can have another day. But at the end of the day, a lot of people, regardless if they're liberal or not, don't care to ask those questions because it doesn't affect them until it does. At Becca Cuffrin, it doesn't affect them until it really does. They don't have to have the same conversations that we have to have between each other. And if we are going to be dating someone, even interracially, not, it doesn't even need to be, but just about issues because it affects us. Until it starts affecting them, they don't need to have those conversations. So I'm sure he either doesn't care or he's going to be like, kind of like Chris Harrison, like it happened a long time ago. Even though those are things that I think really set the foundation of a person, they can be changed, sure, but that's a conversation for a whole nother day.
Well, I just hope everybody's holding up well. I don't know how Matt's doing. It's like a lot. I don't.
Hopefully
And it's
we'll
crazy.
find out.
His season is now tainted into this. It's nobody's gonna really care that he was the first Black Bachelor.
No, the season was a mess. It was carried by the white cast. This season was carried by there. It was no. I mean,
anybody we spent longer than a one segment on that wasn't an actual date was a white woman who was causing issues, or the only woman who's not causing issues is the one who's racist outside. So, it's just like, we are. It's crazy. Like, we either have white girls refusing, like they must leave because like Sarah, or that they're all bullies like MJ and the rest of them, Victoria and Anna, or they're like the savior like Katie, or they're the winner who is racist or racist adjacent. So
racist adjacent.
Yeah.
A mess. It's a mess. Well, any predictions outside of Rachel probably winning and Serena P leaving?
Yeah, I assume it's Serena P first, then Bree, then Michelle and Rachel. There's still a sliver of me that's like, Michelle could take this. And we could all just be like, wow, we'll never have to see Rachel again. And this will just be it. But it's like,
there's no way. There's no way. He hasn't said, he's not at that point. Rachel has how many weeks ahead of Michelle? If Michelle started in the same race, see, you know what? The Bachelor, they what they did to Michelle is like oppression. They essentially let Rachel get a head start.
But I will say, because I agree with you, but I wouldn't have been so mad at them if they did that, because like I said this before, we're like, oh, she's extra special. But they wouldn't be like, oh, she's extra special, we want to make her our bachelorette.
No, they're not going to do that.
So we're going to, I know. But if they would have done it like that, where, hey, we're going to push her for 4 weeks out. We already know that Matt's going to like her, so she's going to go far. And then she gets to be the best. I wouldn't even have been mad at that. I really wouldn't have. It would have been Matt to like this girl, and we'll see her to carry a whole new season. But no, if she would have started at the beginning, again, I'm not saying that Rachel wouldn't have taken it, but it would have been a very different
race for sure.
It's a different race. I mean, the girl is playing from behind hardcore, but I know he really likes her. We'll see. Maybe when he sees her family and their dynamic and how much it's connected to him, maybe he'll get somewhere. I'm hoping that if he doesn't say that if she doesn't say that she's falling in love next week and he doesn't reciprocate in some way, there's no way. But if he say something next week, she's in the race. Yeah. Any prediction for you? What do you think? What's your prediction?
Same thing. I mean, she has to tell him that she's falling in love with him or that she's in love. If she says she's in love and he says something back, then hey, we're with it. But if not, it's Rachel.
Don't you think that it could be coming? Because she told him that she's 100% committed to him.
It could be coming.
I think it's coming.
I mean, we'll see. Then it leads to like more fantasy suites, right? So he obviously has a connection with both of them. Rachel, from what I heard in other podcasts, what happened? I think Rachel, Lindsay, and Becca asked Katie different questions like who's the most ready for the fantasy suites, and she said Rachel, and they were so surprised. They're like, Rachel, really? They're like, she has her eyes set on Matt. She was like, you would have never known, but she was like all about him. And they're like, oh, really? Listen, I'm sure she is going to do what she needs to do what she wants to do.
She's
And
gonna pull out her bag of tricks and
yeah,
splits and everything.
yeah, and she's gonna do what to get her man. She's obviously in love with him, and I mean, I don't know if Michelle's gonna be doing all that, or if he's even gonna be like, let me go between these two and see how that
I don't
works.
even, I don't even know if he would do that. Like based
Mhm.
on bachelors we've seen in the last recent years, we've heard, well, except for Peter, because
Just
Peter did a
one.
lot. But yeah, they do just one. So like, but also Matt, like, and he also doesn't give me a super sexual vibe. So I just don't know if he would even care to. And then
He seems intimate,
we'll
but
see.
that could be different.
Yeah, but like he's still like awkward. Did you notice when he was walking out, like how they walked? They broke up, and then she's walking. She's like a foot smaller than him, and then he has her like bear hug, and they're just like walking together like this. And it's just like you're so. I love him, but he's a goober. He's like a
Well,
goober.
he did that to Sarah, but
So
I mean, when he did it to Sarah, we were like, oh, that's a very intimate thing. But then when he did it to I mean, I thought it was still cute.
yeah,
I think he's a very
I
intimate
mean,
person. We'll see.
okay, yeah, maybe I'm reading it wrong. But he's just not giving me like that Nick Vile energy. He's not giving me that.
Well, I don't think there's many bachelors that are going to give us Nick Vile energy, which is I love that energy, but I don't think we're going to see that for a minute.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have, Jasmine.
Yeah, I think that's all we have, y'all. So subscribe, like, let us know how you or what you think about this episode of Black Girls Gab. And next, we're going to be doing Temptation Island. Comes out actually tonight, so we are so excited. We're going to watch it and recap it for you all. But yeah, like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Black Girls Gab. That's it. Peace.